The system of equations is a deal where you have x number of whatever variables plus x number of whatever other variables that result in a thing, and your goal is to figure out what one of these things are. If you've seen one of those Twitter puzzles or something where it's got, like a pineapple and a banana and whatever, and you're trying to figure out the value of it, it's just basically that. And ordinarily the way that you do that is to multiply an entire one of these equations by whatever thing and add it to something else to cancel stuff out. But that's complicated and annoying, and I don't want to do that, because if you have a good calculator, then there's an easier way. If you put it into a matrix, which is where you have an A column, a B column, and a C column, a column for every one of the variables, and then you rewrite these lines as fitting into this grid. So for the first one, we have 2A plus 1B equals 19, so you put 2 in the A column, 1 in the B column, result is 19. And you do the same for the other ones, then now what you have is something that you can put into reduced row echelon form. Reduced row echelon form is just basically where you take whatever matrix like this represents a system of equations, and then it puts it so that there's only one in each of the columns. So you're either going to have 1A or 1B or 1C or whatever, and then the result of that is going to be for the individual variable. The way you do this on a Casio fx-9750GIII is you hit menu and go to run math. If you weren't already in that, you hit exit however many numbers of times you need to if this isn't already what's up. F3 to go on the matrix menu, and you can define a matrix, and here you can see that I have transcribed this matrix up here, the 2, 1, 0, 19, where these, remember, are the variable columns, and then these are the results of adding all the rows of the variables together. I now have this, and then when you go to run math, you hit option, and then you want to go over matrix, and then you want to, once you've hit option and then you've hit the button representing matrix, it'll say mat and then all this stuff, you want to go over to RREF. That means reduced row echelon form. That's going to convert this thing into this thing so that you can have 1A, 1B, and 1C, and the results are going to show you what those variables are worth. So we hit reduce row echelon form, and then we hit F6 to go back to the beginning where it says mat. So reduce row echelon form operation on the matrix. The matrix that I defined that in was A, so I hit alpha to go to the red numbers. I hit A, and then I hit execute. And what we have now is the reduced row echelon form, where the results are that A is equal to 8, B is equal to 3, and C is equal to 4. And I can verify that that's correct because I set this up with these as the variables and then just put in random numbers for what they're supposed to equal. So you can then see that A is 8, B is 3, C is 4, and if you plug those back into the original equations, that should be right. A is 8. So 2 times 8 is 16, plus B, which is 3, is 19. A is 8, so 8 plus C, which is 4, is equal to 12. 3 times B is 9, and then C is 4, so 9 minus 4 is 5. Now the key thing to note here is that when you have it written out like this, you might be confused when you're converting it into a matrix, when you're defining something. So that's where you got to remember that, for example, in this case, when it says A plus C, what that really means is that there's one A, there are 0 B's, and there's a C, and you need to follow that convention so that the variable counts for B are consistent across the whole thing. So 1A plus 1C is 1, 0, 1 in the matrix. And then you also have to remember that you have these, like, you have the variable grid over here, and then you have the results over here as a separate thing. So a very common setup that I've seen is that you have a 3x3 grid to represent 3 different variables and 3 different equations, and then you add on to that another column on the end. So it becomes 4 columns, 3 rows. And that's how you do that. I hope it helps somebody, I don't know.